Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, I've had the opportunity now living in Atlanta, and since we've been doing the channel, to visit a couple of local gyms in the area. And this one trainer that I had the opportunity to talk to, local to Atlanta, and his name will remain, or he will remain nameless, just because I'm not sure he would actually want me sharing this or sharing his name tied to this. But we were talking about Devin Haney specifically, and he talked about just the struggles and the challenges with making weight, and with a fighter that's rehydrating by so much, how challenging his training camp must be in order to get down and make the weight. His thought was that Devin Haney at the moment is truly a welterweight and should be at the welterweight limit or be in the welterweight division. Now, we know that Devin Haney rehydrated all the way up 25 pounds for the Regis Prograis fight. And it's interesting that just a few months ago, we thought that Devin Haney was in quite a precarious situation. It was either face Shakur Stevenson, and Shakur was going to be a hard fight at 135 no matter what, or move up to 140 pounds and face some of the fighters there, which we felt that Devin was not going to be effective there because he wasn't going to have the requisite power. After the Regis Prograis fight, we discovered that Devin is definitely effective at 140 pounds. There's certainly fights that he can win at 140 pounds and become champion. But how long will his body allow him to stay at 140 is the question. He struggled to get to 140. That's well known. That's already documented. So this gentleman, this particular trainer, said Devin can move up to 47 now. There's certainly fights that he can make at 47 where he would absolutely be competitive at 47. First name that comes to mind for me is Mario Barrios. Mario Barrios just moved up, dispatched Ugas, showed that he belonged at 147 pounds, showed that the fight that he had with Keith Thurman was not a fluke, and quite frankly showed that, Gervonta Davis' win over him was actually more impressive than what people would like to give him credit for. And we've already heard about Bill Haney, or we've heard from Bill Haney, essentially saying that, Keith Thurman is somebody they would be interested in moving up and facing. So I initially thought when they talked about 47, I said to myself, they're probably just talking. This is just a way for Bill to keep Devin's name active in the public's mind. But I think that is a real possibility, and I'm not so sure he shouldn't go ahead and move up. Now, we've heard about Jaron Ennis. We heard from Bill Haney that Jaron Ennis would also be on the table if Devin Haney were to move up to 147 pounds. Personally, that's the one that gives me cause to pause. I think Boots is too big, too skilled, too strong. And my opinion, Devin would be able to box with anybody, right? Because Devin is just that skilled. I think Devin is a highly skilled fighter, specifically around his boxing skills. But at the same time, Boots is a completely different animal. Not only does he have the same level of boxing skills, but he also has the requisite power for a 147-pounder, maybe even a 154-pounder as well. So that's the fight that would give me cause to pause and make me think, boy, you really shouldn't move up to 47 because at some point you're going to have to face him. But, Jay, this particular expert thinks, hey, it's time to make that move today. The trainer that I spoke to believes that it's time for Devin Haney to make that move today, that he's a welterweight today, and that not only is he a welterweight, but he would be competitive at the welterweight division, which quite frankly, I can't argue with, because I think I can think of a number of fights that Devin would be competitive in. And by competitive, I mean he has the opportunity to win those fights for sure. Jay, what's your thoughts on what this expert had to say in regards to Devin Haney and the fact that he needs to move to 47 today?
Yeah, I mean, I would still like him at 140 because I think there's some good fights, some at 140 as well. But for him to move to 147, he's a big kid. He rehydrated to damn near super middleweight. So he was like 165 or so. So I anticipate those guys that are normally fighting at 147 probably rehydrate to the same amount. So it'd be a more of an even playing field as far as the rehydration, what they go to. Now, Devin's the champion at 140 in the WBC. Now, one thing that could be in play for Devin is just wait until Bud vacates that belt and tries to get up to fight for the vacated belt. Since he is a WBC champion at 140, that might be an option for him. I'm looking at who's at the WBC. Cody Crowley is number one. So it's not Cody Crowley can fight, but he's not a power puncher either. So that helps out with Devin, especially with him going up higher. Devin has a high IQ, and Josh Taylor is number 3. David Avenesian is number 4, Conor Ben number 5. So it's some guys up there on the WBC side where it could make sense for him to move up. He can get another strap there, and really be in good position for other belts. Depending on what Bud does. Because in the WBA, that's the side where Emmanuel Stanionis is at. Him and Keith Thurman will be there. And then we know Boots is at the IBF, and then on the WBO is pretty much very similar to the WBC. So he definitely has some guys that he can match up with. He don't have to worry about the Boots unless he goes the IBF route. Nor does he have to worry about Bud, because the Bud would be vacant. Bud wouldn't be wanting to fight Devin anyway. It doesn't give anything for Bud. Plus I think it'll be a big mismatch with Bud's experience and just the way Bud is as well. So 147, I think he could settle around there, but I think him, although he struggled, it was a little struggle for him to make 140. I think he can stay at 145 at least 2 or 3 more fights. Because there's some big money fights at 140, but I think he'll overall end up at 147, possibly 154. It's just depending on how his power moves up. On there, we saw that he had some good shots on Regis, and Regis Regis didn't have a glass jaw. For him to rock Regis like he did show that he can have some power, but is it enough for those heavier guys? Because those guys are going to be probably coming down, rehydrating to 175 possibly, where he only comes up to 165. So he ain't gonna have that advantage like he has at 135 and 140. So it makes it a lot tougher for him at those higher weight classes. But I could see him going to 147, just not just yet.
So big fights like what at 40?
T.O.
Is T.O. going to make the fight? Is T.O. going to be willing to take? Because Devin's going to position himself as the A side. Is T.O. going to be willing to take it?
Yeah.
You think so?
That's a whole different discussion.
Yeah, but
that's a whole different discussion. But I know it's going to be difficult. He's already had difficulties with Ryan.
That's my point.
So Ryan, Sabrina Matias, but those are bigger money fights than him going to 140 to fight, say a Cody Crowley. Yeah, that fight probably be easy to be made, but it ain't gonna be the money.
There's big money.
I don't want to see him in with Boots.
I think there's big money fights at 140 pounds, but my thing is, can he actually make the fights? Can those fights actually be made? Like people, like just because they're in your weight class, will those fights actually be made? And I think Devin, I don't think Devin has a lot of time at 40. I really don't. He doesn't have a lot of time to play around and see if one of those fights will actually materialize. So we'll see. You guys,
1 to 2 fights.
Hey, I agree. 1 to 2, maybe, because man, I think he had to strip down out of his draws to make it to 140 in this particular fight. So that's rough. That tells me, man, that it ain't too many more parties at 140. You guys tell us what you think in the comment section. Should Devin Haney remain at 140 pounds and try to make some of those big money fights? I know most people are going to say yes because they believe that just because they're in the division that fight can be made, but that's not always the case. But let us know what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. And think about joining the Discord that we currently have, AM Sports Media Discord, where we're always talking boxing. You can see me and Jason in that Discord, and hey, you can come in and have a debate with us. Again, don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time, peace.